guys, so welcome back. It's Enki. As usual, we're going to start this episode off with a little demonstration from Nate. Take it away, Nate. Thanks very much for that, buddy. As usual, impressive. And yeah, my breath has been taken away, to be honest. Hang on, give me a minute. I'm completely flabbergasted. How does he do that shit? How does he do that shit? Hey guys, Enki here, and I'm back to do another episode of ENKI'S World. And we're reading some of my old statuses, and we're going to continue on with the one we started yesterday. We talked about the source field consciousness, and we're going to continue on with talking about what densities are, or dimensions. Fourth density photons. Actually, I'll just start this up. Densities are planes of existence which correspond to the different chakras in the human body, essentially. It is said that our body represents a microcosm of the universal oneness that we are. So you have red chakra, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo and violet, which is the traditional system of chakras. We are told that each of these chakras have a certain level of reality that it's connected to. Those are called densities. They have also been called rays. Each density has its own form of photons. There are first density photons, second density photons, third density photons, and now here on Earth we're beginning to see fourth density photons, coming in since the year of 1936, thereabouts. We will talk more about that, photons, in a later episode, when we go into particle physics a little. For right now, just know that a photon is a particle of light, or just it's best thought of that way for now. Fourth density photons are very interesting, as they are what allows for thoughts to become things. This had apparently not been happening anywhere near the level to what it has been since that point in time, 1936. Apparently cancer is the result of thoughts becoming things. The rise of Nazi Germany was the result of thoughts becoming things. These things start to happen around that time. There was a rise in many positive changes also. We also see the rise of totalitarian governments and a great deal of corruption. So both aspects are at play in our society today. First density, second density, and third density are all visible to us. First density would be like the elements, like earth, air, fire, water. We can see these things around us. We see the rocks, the oceans, we see fire, we see earth. Second density would be where things start to get a little more interesting. Second density apparently begins on the level of the photon. A photon, as I said, is a piece of light which moves through space at 187,000 miles per second. Second density photons carry a cipher, or a code, that will take first density material and turn it into biological life. Biological life starts on a photonic level. Now, the only reason I'm starting with all of this is because we have the scientific evidence for it, which we'll get into later. Second density photons can create anything from microbes to plants, all the way up through every form of life except conscious human life. Those things are all categorized as second density life forms. What happens when you transition into third density is that you gain self-awareness. Second density life forms have much like what you would call like a hive mind, much like a school of fish, or a hive of bees, or even the flock of birds is a good example, where they all have some form of complementation, synchronicity in their thinking. A man called Rupert Sheldrake has done extensive studies into showing that these groups of animals actually do carry some form of awareness amongst themselves. That's why they travel in packs. There is a single consciousness that they share. That consciousness has instincts of self-preservation. There are birds that will crouch in the presence of predators they've never seen before. You can separate them from their mothers, but they automatically know who their predators are, right from birth. Okay, we just got some breaking news that there's some crazy weather going on. So we're going to take you to Nate, and he's going to give you the rundown.
Yeah. No, I think he's all good. Yeah, nah, he'll be fine. He'll be fine. Let's go on the show, alright? Come on. Let's do it. 3, 2, 1.
Okay, now, so I realise this is kind of like disjointed and everything, but I want to kind of tell you, I want to try and explain what like is really going on overall, and especially in terms of like our biological life first, before I start getting into like all the nitty gritty of like how everything works kind of thing. And so to do that, I suppose we have to mention evolution, which is no longer just a theory. It's been proven true beyond a doubt, but not the evolution like you're thinking. Like, the problem is, even people who believe evolution is true disassociate themselves from the process. They somehow skipped all the lower forms of animal life and just started out at the top of the evolutionary ladder. The evidence says we evolved as life evolved. Human beings did not just appear at the top of the evolutionary ladder to reap the benefits of those millions of years of evolution without having to live through it. In other words, you were those other animals. Someone had to be them. You had to be lower animals to be human now. You lived as all the different animals in your evolutionary line. You lived through millions of years and millions of lives and deaths to get to where you are now. That's what Darwin's book means. In addition to the fossil evidence, the genetic code proves that all animals, including us, evolved from bacteria over the last 700 million years on Earth. In other words, you were a microbe, an insect, a fish, a dinosaur, an ape. When all of the evidence, 100% of it, says something happened, and there is no evidence, meaning zero evidence, that anything else could have happened, it is the truth beyond a reasonable doubt to honest, rational people. We have come a very, very long way, but we have a little further to go. The next and last step in our evolution is learning and accepting the truth of life, and this includes acknowledging our true past. The truth will free us from the animal world we all evolved from. Immortality. It is impossible to be conscious of being unconscious. It is not possible to be aware of being unconscious from your own perspective. You cannot be aware of not being aware. You can be less aware, conscious, such as when you are asleep, but not completely unconscious, meaning dead. Because time would stand still for you. 1 billion years could pass and you would not know it. How do you know you are dead? It is not possible to be aware of any gaps in life. It is continuous and never-ending from your own point of view. Death and birth are a continuous event from your own perspective. You will die physically, but you will be born into a new physical body. Being born happens, or you would not be here now. You were born into this life. It is what we know happens. There is no evidence anything else happens. True or false? The you only live once theory. Many people say they do not believe in reincarnation. They believe when you die, you're dead. What about fish, clams, horses, bears, flies? People that say you only live once are saying some souls get to live just one life as a worm, and that is it for all of eternity. Other people believe you are judged by a god after you die. Is the worm judged? Many people think human beings are the only animal that is conscious. Is a dog or cat conscious? Where do you draw the line? Is a bird conscious? The truth is that all animal life is conscious and alive just like us. The only thing that makes humans different from other animals is that we have a mind that can think and reason at a high enough level to know the truth of life, and those that know rise above animals. It is time to see and accept the truth the evidence supports. You are immortal. It is impossible to not be, because it is impossible to be conscious of being unconscious. Just that one sentence proves it. It is like these sentences. It is impossible for it to be light and dark at the same time. You cannot have your cake and eat it too. These are simple but certain facts. The sentence, "It is impossible to be conscious of being unconscious," is a simple and certain fact. Energy cannot be created or destroyed, it can only be changed from one form to another. Like energy, consciousness cannot be created or destroyed. This revelation will change your life. Now you know where you come from and what you've been doing for about 500 million years, evolving. The next question is, how does life work and what is next? And we can know that too. Okay. People are trying to understand the universe independent of consciousness, and it's the most important factor in the equation. It doesn't make sense to me. The universe, as it relates to conscious life, can be understood now. It is the ultimate truth of life, the truth that will transform mankind and the world. It will completely transform your way of thinking. For every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction, right? People do not realize what Isaac Newton's third law of motion really means. Everything is balanced. Everything physical, matter, energy. So, because everything physical is matter and energy. Goes back and forwards in balanced circles, cycles, or the equivalent. Birth, death, old, young, big, small, strong, weak, start, stop, up, down, rich, poor, beginning, end, fast, slow, hot, cold, pain, pleasure, win, lose, day, night, full, empty, high, low, in, out, success, failure, united, divided, give, receive, creation, destruction, on, off, positive, negative, dualities, etc., etc. Positive and negative forces moving in balance are the physical universe. That's what this is. There are no exceptions to the laws of nature Newton revealed. They apply to all matter and energy. Human beings are matter and energy. Thus, you and all humans are governed by the same laws. Okay. Now, good luck and bad luck are the balance in action and the way the balance most affects our lives. Luck is manifested on many levels. There is the day-to-day luck, from little things like getting a good parking space or a bad one, to big things such as winning the lottery or finding out you have cancer. Then there is the long-term luck. You are lucky if you are born with good looks, money, health, talent, and intelligence. You are unlucky if you are born unattractive, poor, sickly, and without talent or intelligence. Most people are in between these extremes, but it does not matter, because we are immortal and it will all balance out. Luck will move back and forth. Everyone will get equal amounts of good and bad luck. What goes around comes around. Everyone gets their own, or gets their turn, sorry. Death is the great equalizer. If you are born with advantages, you can have more good times than bad times in your life. But when you die, you are reborn with disadvantages and have more bad times than good times, and vice versa. In the long run, no one has it better or worse than anyone else does, because life will always balance eventually. It is the known nature of the universe we live in. If you flip a coin 1,000 times, it will come up heads about half the time and tails about half the time. The odds of random events are predictable. This is why Las Vegas always makes a profit on gambling year after year. And you can see the truth if you look at the big picture. You will see the random events that you perceive as random are actually quite predictable because they balance. It's a fundamental truth of life everyone knows but ignores. This is why on the 4th of July, about 162 people will be killed in auto accidents, and every 4th about the same amount are killed. An average of 12 auto accidents happen every minute. About 6,000 teenagers are killed in auto accidents every year in the US, and about 4 million people are bitten by dogs. Why is the number about the same every year? Everything is determined, the beginning as well as the end, by forces over which we have no control. It is determined for insects as well as for the stars. Human beings, even vegetables or cosmic dust. We all dance to a mysterious tune, intoned in the distance. Destiny, okay. Not being in control does not mean our future is predestined. No one knows the future. The future cannot be known. Anything can happen. The only thing we can be certain of is that it will be balanced. The good news is all of the best things are going to happen to you. The bad news is so will all of the worst things, if you do not learn the truth. People may think if everything is balanced, then it does not matter what you do. That is true. If you want to continue living in the savage animal realm, that is. If you want to evolve past the animal realm to a realm where there is no fear, pain, or death. You have to learn and spread the truth of life. You have to live as a spiritual being. If you live like an animal, you will continue to be one. The greatest present, or for the first time in history, first time in our 700 million years on this planet, we can know life, know what we are, where we come from, and where we are going. We have to take advantage of this brief opportunity. It has been a long time coming and will be a long time gone. I hope to give you the power to change your present course to one that leads to a place without pain, fear or suffering, a place some Western religions call heaven. New and different revelations about life are not easy to accept. Do not let the things you disagree with stop you from reading anything, really. Take in all the information and sift through it. Work out what's good and what's bad. Many of the things you do not agree with or understand when you first read something, like, they'll make sense after you read more. Don't just skip through shit. Same with videos, like right now, you're probably thinking, oh, stuff this, I'm going to turn this off. Like, just sit with it, man. Like, just stay with it for a bit. And I think you might enjoy it. You might actually like it. Sometimes people hold a core belief that is very strong. When they are presented with evidence that works against that belief, the new evidence cannot be accepted. It would create a feeling that is extremely uncomfortable. The sheep hate it. It's called cognitive dissonance, and because it is so important to protect that core belief, they will rationalize, ignore, and even deny anything that doesn't fit in with their core belief. Cognitive dissonance. Get to know these two words. It's the unseen enemy of mankind, I swear. It does more to cause war, crime, and suffering than anything else, because it prevents people from learning and changing. If you're ready to overcome your cognitive dissonance and learn the truth of life, then keep listening. For the first part of this series, we're going to be talking about a bit of a game changer, mainly because it's all true. The problem is that most people can't see the truth of life, despite what they believe. It's not what you look at that matters, it's more what you see, if that makes sense. When you see the truth for the first time, it is what people call a peak moment, or a moment of clarity. You get a larger percentage of what each moment of life actually contains. You are filled with life. Your mind is the gatekeeper of life, and sometimes it lets a little true life in, but most of the time it does not. Seeing Niagara Falls or the Grand Canyon for the first time is a peak moment for most people. Why does it make you feel so alive? Nothing really happens to you. Why doesn't it feel as good the second time you see it? You are seeing the same thing. The reason is your mind opens up when something is special. The truth is, every moment of life is special, and you can be completely open to life most of the time. You have to see the truth to see true life. The oblivious is that which is never seen until someone expresses it simply. The truth of life does not change anything in life except people's minds. Things stay the same. The truth just removes the unnecessary suffering, conflict and confusion. The truth about life is actually very simple. It is just hard to see for the first time. It all boils down to how you feel from moment to moment, how often you feel good and how often you feel bad. And it will be balanced like everything else physical. Your infinite past was balanced, and your infinite future will be too, unless you change from a physical being into a spiritual being. To change into a spiritual being, you just have to know the truth, which changes your point of view and your perspective of life, so that you start to live your life as a spiritual being. Our life does not have to be just 50-50 like the physical world, because our spiritual self, our immortal self, is not physical and does not need to be balanced to exist. So, our physical environment cannot fundamentally change, but we can. You just have to know how to do it. And I think I'm going to leave it there, and I'll bring you some more awesome information tomorrow. So, stay tuned for that. Peace! have tobacco here? 50. Yeah, let's do 50 texts with no delay. So his phone freezes up. So let's do 100. So that's one way that you can fill up someone's phone, but you got to remember your number will be exposed, so they'll know that it's you. There's another way of spamming someone's phone with messages in an anonymous way so that they won't know. I'll show you that as well in a sec.
No, that's not good enough. Alright, let's clean into here. Here we go.
Why the 40 messages?
Huh?
Why the 40 messages?
40? I sent you a message.
Yeah, we ended up with over 40. Count them.
Okay.
There's only this 3.
Yeah.
Oh, the door shut?
Yeah, whatever.
Wrong thing.